very good evening to all of you. How are you all? Welcome to today's session, Letter Writing, a complete guide. So there is no doubt, that we really cannot complete or fit everything in this 30-minute session. But that's for sure that we can learn certain important things, related to letter writing. And this class is dedicated to a kind of a complete thorough preparation related to the letter writing. I can clearly see Shelly, Rashri, Karthik. How are you all? Good? Yes, I'm so glad. Now, before I start today's session, let me tell you that my classes are really for the serious and the genuine learners, those who wholeheartedly want to crack the IELTS exam. They know that filling the exam or taking the date again and again is not the solution. The solution lies in the fact that you should prepare thoroughly and then only go and attempt the exam. Now, before I go further, there is one thing that I would like to tell you, although I must have told you this earlier as well, but every session I would like to make this announcement to all the people who seriously feel that they could be my learners and they are serious enough to achieve their goals. So don't forget to use this code Shruti Live. Okay, if you use this code, definitely you'll get a 10% discount. There is no doubt to it, and you all will get a chance to be a part of my live sessions. There is no second thought to it. Now, everybody know this is not just a line. Get the band you need. Is it just a line? No, it's not a line. It's an emotion. We live it. We breathe it. So this is something that is, we see a goal. We see a dream. We all see a dream. And we all are committed to fulfill it. Right? Wonderful. Let's go ahead. Now, what do I mean by complete guide? First, let's just try to understand. If you are studying IELTS general training, then definitely this session is something that is for you. See, getting 6, as I always say, 6.5 is still okay for a student who has got a basic English proficiency. But if you are planning, if you are targeting to crack the 472 cutoff or the band 8 or even 7 or 7 plus, you need to follow my tips to achieve a high score in your exam. And I am not exaggerating. Let me tell you, to all my learners all across the globe, that you need to follow my tips in order to achieve a high score in your exam. So what are they? Let's find out. What is task 1 general training basically? So, IELTS writing exam is actually a 60-minute writing test, out of which you have to spend 20 minutes, or ideally you should spend 20 minutes in the letter writing, which we call the writing task 1, where you have to write 150 words. The rest 40 minutes are dedicated for IELTS writing task 2, where you have to write an essay of at least 250 words. Now, what about, letters? Essay definitely I'll cover in the forthcoming sessions, and one of the essay on a very difficult topic, arts, I have already covered. You can go and watch that video. The title of that video is Discussion of an Essay on Arts. Now, letters are usually of 3 categories: formal, semi-formal and informal. When you're writing to a friend, definitely it is an informal letter. When you're writing to the manager of a company or to someone you don't know or you don't know the name, then it has to be a formal. Semi-formal, you know them, but you don't kind of share a close relationship with them. Okay. Now, let's look at an example question. A friend has agreed to look after your house and child while you go out and drinking. Oh my God, what a nice friend. So the question says, a friend has agreed to look after your house and child while you go out drinking. So what am I supposed to write here? Write a letter to your friend. Okay, so in that letter, what am I supposed to give? Actually, I have to give the contact details for when you are away or when I am away. Give instructions for how to take care of your child. Like if he is going to babysit for my child, then obviously I have to give him certain kind of instructions, certain guidelines, and what other household duty or he or she should perform. Okay, now again I have to write 150 words as I just shared with you. So there is no need to write any addresses. So for my plus learners, they already know why they don't have to write the addresses. I have already told to all my learners, to my plus learners in my class, that what is the difference between a general essay that you have learned in your high school and what is the difference between an IELTS essay. All my learners know. Am I right, learners? Yeah, they all know why they don't have to write the date here in IELTS, why there is no need to write the addresses. And simply the letter will again tell you that how to start your letter. So you have to begin your letter with dear. It is already mentioned. So why it is mentioned here dear? Because obviously it's an informal letter, point number 1. Point number 2. If this salutation, has not been mentioned here, what would you have done in that case? So basically in that case, again you will use the name of your friend. You will use the name. You will simply not write the full name. If you write, trust me, that greeting for an informal letter will be inappropriate, right? So that's a different thing, because greetings, that is salutations, are totally different for each type of letter. Even the closing remarks and the opening remarks as well. Language is totally different. Now moving further, let's see how we are going to target it. Even I got messages as well. Sadaf, I got your message as well when you stated that you were unable to write. So watch my video, watch my session, plus session that I have given, I have taken in the month of January. I must have given in the month of January. There, read the letter related to the nomination. I have, taught everyone how to write a letter of nomination. So the recent IELTS question that I have posted in my Telegram channel. Okay, Sadaf? Rashri, what you all can do is that watch that video and try to write a letter. So the question that must be there in all of your mind is that people don't write letters anymore. So why IELTS is asking us to write letters? So yes, this is true that nowadays people don't write letters. But in IELTS exam, letters are still alive. Okay. And you have to pretend that people still use them and imagine yourself as to be the writer. How you are going to do this thing? The more you put yourself into the task, the easier it will be to come up with your ideas. Class, what do I mean by this line? This is a very important line. Your letter has to be realistic. Feel your letter, believe in your letter, and your imagination has to be super high. When you're writing a letter, it's not easy to imagine to a larger extent. To start first with your imagination of planning. For example, if you have lost your luggage in, let's say, maybe in the airport, maybe at the airport, or maybe in the flight. So think of everything. What was the bag? What was the color of the bag? What was the brand? At what time you boarded the flight? At what time the flight landed? At what and what was there in the bag? Why do you need those documents? Everything, whatever you could think of, your seat number, your luggage, your hand luggage, what was there in your hand luggage, whatever you could think of, class, you have to think, then only your letters will sound realistic. In this session, I'll make sure that you learn at least the basics of letter writing. So now here there were 3 points. If you remember, I showed you 3 points. No? Here, let me just go back, give contact details, this one, right? For when you are away, give instructions, contact detail, instruction, and other household duties or household chores. So here, you have to cover these 3 pointers. Your letter clearly, it should cover all the 3 points given in the question. And then you should be able to explain expand each of them. And what do I mean by expansion? Giving the extra details. If you don't write about all 3 points, let's say you say that no, I'm not going to write about all the 3 points, then you will lose your marks for the task achievement. You will not get more than 5 or 5.5. So it's a letter, so you should write in full sentences. Obviously, you're not going to write bullet points. When I am marking certain exams, when I am checking the papers, I have seen that some students write their letters in bullet points. No, that's wrong. Never do it. Then, how you're going to form a logical structure and how you're going to do the paragraphing here. So start your letter with a greeting. Obviously, in case of formal, it's the full name. In case of semi-formal, it could be the kind of the first name combined with maybe second name. But in an informal, it always has to be the first name. There is no need of second name. Like if there is like John Pitt, so there is no need to write John Pitt. Dear John. Then you start your letter by writing the purpose. What is the purpose of your letter? We call it as an opening statement or opening line. In the opening line, you always mention the purpose of your letter. And then finish with a clear sign-off. Whatever your sign-off is there, just finish it with a clear. Again, sign-offs are different based on the types of the letter. And your paragraphing, the way you are going to do paragraphing, it has to be logical. Only 1 or 2 main ideas for each paragraph, just 1 or 2, it depends, per paragraph. In essay, if you remember yesterday I told you just 1 main idea per paragraph. Here 1 or 2 is okay. What about formal and informal letters? Now the main skill that is required to master this IELTS writing task 1, that you should know how to write different kinds of letters. For example, there are a lot of letters, like there are letters of offer, there are letters of advice, there are letters of suggestion, there are letters of recommendation, letters of invitation, letter of nomination, right? So there are many more that I am going to cover this month as well. Earlier also, in the month of January, I have covered certain letters. This month also I am going to cover certain letters. So make sure you practice writing all types of letters, because you never know what letter will come and how are you going to target that. Because every letter has got a little bit different language and vocabulary. Now, what am I going to do afterwards? I am going to show you a table, right, that will tell you how the formal letter or how the informal letter is, and it depends on the situation. Basically, what do I mean by formal letter and under what situations you can write that. So one situation is when you have a formal relationship with the reader. It is like that you know that person, or maybe you don't know that person, but the fact that your relationship with the that particular reader is very formal. How formal the letter depends on the situation, you have your relationship with the reader. What about the request letter? Just now I mentioned the letters of advice, so their letters of request are also there. So request letter written to a friend or to a stranger, obviously there is difference. If you write a request letter to a friend, it will be totally different, and if you are going to write it for a stranger, again it will be totally different. And if I ask you a basic question, all of you class, do you know the difference between letter of advice, letter of suggestion and letter of recommendation, as I always ask to all my learners? So the fact is that letters of advice could be, it depends, it could be a weak advice, strong advice. For suggestion, difference between suggestion and recommendation is that you recommend when you yourself have experienced that particular thing. And when you suggest, it's not necessary that you have experienced that thing, but maybe some idea has come to your mind and you just want to share it. You don't know whether it's the best or not. You simply say that I feel I am no expert in that particular area, but I believe these could work. But I don't have any idea, or I have never experienced that. And what about letters of advice? If it is a weak advice, it comes under suggestion. If it's a strong advice, it comes under recommendation. And what is the difference between letter of offer and letter of request. In the letter of offer, you offer to help the other person. Whereas in the letters of request, either you request money or information or anything else, you request an information. Whereas in the letter of offer, you make an offer, right? So you should know how to write all these letters. So what kind of letter is it? Please have a close look, all of you. You write to an important client to invite them to a product launch. For example, if you have invited your client, right? So basically you are writing to invite your client for a product launch. What kind of letter is it? Formal or semi-formal? Because you could know your client as well, or it's quite possible you might not know your client as well, or it depends on how well you know the client actually. The formality and the semi-formality depends on your relationship with your client. So you write a letter to your boss asking them for dinner. Again, writing a letter to your boss asking them for dinner, it's a semi-formal because they are the boss, but you are inviting them to dinner. So ideally, semi-formal is more appropriate, and secondly, you know your boss. Although you don't have a close or a personal relationship with your boss, but you know your boss, right? Please keep these things in your mind. Second, what kind of letter is it? You write to the lost and found department of a train company to ask if they have found a lost bag which you left on the train. Maybe you left your bag in the train and now you are calling or you're writing to the lost and found department of the train company just to see if they have found your lost bag or not. It's a purely formal letter because you don't know the authorities of the rail company. It has to be very formal because obviously you're writing to a company. So when you write to your family, friends or relatives, it is an informal letter. When you write to a company, right, or the people you don't know, it's always formal. And when you know the person but you don't have a kind of a close relationship, right, it's a semi-formal. What about next? What type of letter is it, class? You write to a friend to ask if they have found a lost watch from the last time you visited. So maybe you have lost your watch. So you're writing to a friend to see if they have found that lost watch. You know, the last time you must have visited your friend and you, by chance, you have left your watch at their house. So now you're writing a letter to a friend to inquire. So letters of inquiry are also there, right? So these are always informal. Whenever you write to a friend, it's always informal. Because obviously it need to be, why it need to be formal? You're not writing to a company. You know your friend very well. Second, you leave a letter for the babysitter to look after your child and home for the evening. You leave a letter for the babysitter, no? To look after your child. So obviously babysitter, it might be possible. Obviously it's for sure it's possible you don't share a close relationship with the babysitter, no? But you kind of know her either through neighbors or through references. You know her or him. So it's a semi-formal, but it could be informal if you know the babysitter from a long time, right? I hope everybody is getting it. Next, first you have identified the type of the letter, because based on the type of your letter, your greetings or your salutations will change. Then we'll write a clear purpose. In the next paragraph, the opening, we write a clear purpose. So let's look at the example. A friend has agreed to look after your house and child while you go out drinking. So here, the first sentence of your letter should clearly set out the purpose, but your tone has to be correct. Again, the tone depends on the formality or the informality of the letter. Now, if we look here, let's look at a very good example of an informal opening. Dear Bob, how's it going? Thanks so much for agreeing to take care of Sally for me on Saturday. So you said how it's going, obviously because it's your friend. So you said how's it going? Thanks so much for agreeing to take care of Sally. So now he is going to take care or she is going to take care of Sally for me. When? On Saturday. So has it been asked in the question? No. It has not been asked in the question, but you yourself mentioned that on Saturday thanks for coming and taking care of my child. I really appreciate it, mate, as this means I can make it to the work party. Now I really appreciate that because now I can go to the work party. And as you remember from last year, our end of year parties are legendary. So again, you have mentioned your point that why you are asking your friend to come and kind of a babysit, because your office parties or year end parties are legendary. They are actually very interesting, right? Now, they are close friends class. ये opening purpose line, purpose paragraph, I hope everybody is clear. You're going to write exactly like this. So they are close friends. So the reader already knows a lot of thing about the writer, because you know what the relationship I have with the recipient. Based on that, I have set out my tone. Here, I, being a writer, I have a very close relationship with the reader. Reader is my friend. So I know a lot about the writer and their life. So the writer feels very comfortable with the reader. That is why the language is like this. So the letter has to be very friendlier. Language is kind of very informal. And information is much less obvious. It's not that obvious because it's referred to things they both know ना. तो जब आप लिखोगे, don't write a language जो बहुत ही obvious language है. Why? Because अगर मेरा किसी के साथ close relationship है, class listen to me, then obviously हम दोनों की कुछ ऐसी personal बातें होंगी जो उसको पता है, मुझे भी पता है. So they are not that obvious. That is why I have written that, as you know, year-end parties are legendary, work parties are legendary. Now, let's look at a bad example as well. Now, you all must be thinking that I have shown you the good example. So, what is a bad example? Bad example क्या होता है class? Let's have a look. Dear Bob, I hope that this letter finds you well and your family are healthy too. I am deeply grateful. So, usually there are a lot of students who write like this. Is it true? Is it correct? I am deeply grateful to you, my most trusted friend, for agreeing to supervise my small child this Saturday. I am honored that you are willing to sacrifice your time so I can attend our annual company celebrations. They are always such a thrilling experience. Although class, the language is very good, but it is inappropriate for an informal letter. Why will you write like this? It's very friendly, but the tone and language is too formal for a letter. I mean, when you write to a close friend, you don't like this, like I am honored, or I am highly grateful that you have sacrificed your time so that I can attend the year end of the annual company celebrations. No. There is too much obvious information and less reference. Now, information बहुत obvious है ना? Kind of I am honored, kind of annual company, annual celebrations, you are sacrificing, and I hope that this letter finds you well and in good spirits, high spirits. I am deeply grateful, high spirits. This is a very obvious language. Everybody writes like this. सब लोग ऐसे ही लिखते हैं. तो आपका लेटर कैसे डिफरेंट होगा बाकी लेटर से? See, this is for sure, this is a very good English, but this is not appropriate here for an IELTS informal letter. I hope this letter finds you well and your family. No. Right? So, make a kind of a reference. Write something which has got, some unusual lines that only the friends know about each other. Right? So, moving further. What about the closing? The same is the case with closing a letter. Letter जब close होता है class तो भी ऐसे ही होता है. Style has to be suitable. एक example देखते हैं. अभी हमने opening देखा, purpose paragraph देखा. Now let's have a look at the closing. So closing, a good closing कैसे होती है? So thanks again Bob, you're a lifesaver. Right? तुमने मेरी जान बचा ली. You're a lifesaver. See you on Saturday. All the best, Sean. Then you have written your name. Obviously, never write your full name. This is an informal letter. But then, chalo, Saturday ko milte hain. See you on Saturday. All the best. Thanks again. So, this is something good. But if you write like this, finally, oh my God, such a heavy transition word, finally. I must thank you again. You are a most honorable man. I hope to see you at 7 p.m. sharp. Yours sincerely. So anyway, it's wrong. And then to Shondench. No, you can't write like this and you should not write like this. This is a very bad example. Although class, ये बहुत अच्छी English है. This is a very good English, but it's totally wrong for an informal letter, right? So I must thank you again. No, finally, why you need a transition word? Why you need lines like this? Why you need such heavy lines? I hope to see you at 7. My God, are you talking to your friend or are you talking to some kind of just an acquaintance? Now comes to the point of what about vocabulary and grammar? So there are big differences in the language we use with friends and strangers. So obviously you use different language. Even let me put it acquaintances, jaan pehchan ke log. So let's have a look at the table, right? For an informal letter class, we always use contractions and natural vocabulary. That's important. You should use. Informal letter में contractions vocabulary आते हैं, whereas there are no contractions in a case of a formal letter. So instead of saying how are you, class, now look at the kind of the body में क्या words आ सकते हैं. Instead of saying how are you, क्या बोलते हो आप? How's it going? I am deeply grateful की जगह thank you so much or thanks so much. Supervise my small child. No, hey, take care of Sally or take care of whatever the name of the child for me. My most trusted friend. No, you can say mate, buddy, chap. That's okay. Even chap, I don't know how much suitable it is, but then the better is to use kind of buddy, mate. I am honored. No, this is very formal. I am honored. I really appreciate it. Attend. Make it too. Our annual company celebrations. No, it has to be work party for an informal. So for the formal case, class, this is okay. For the formal, this is okay. For the informal, you have to write on the what is written on the right hand side. You are an honorable man. No, you are a lifesaver. तुमने मेरी जान बचा ली. Such a thrilling experience. Answer these things in your mind. Get a checklist ready. Hey, what type of letter is it? What are the 3 points that am I supposed to cover here? Is it kind of a formal or informal? And how well do I know the reader? Actually, that depends on the formality and the informality of the letter. Then whatever information you need to expand those bullet points, brainstorm, will you write? What will you think? Right? Then think about the vocabulary and the functional phrases. So obviously, I told you the language for formal letter is totally different. The language for informal letter is different. Then think about the opening and the closing sentences, what you are going to write, because in a formal letter, you always write like, I am writing to inform you, I am writing to apologize, I would like to make a complaint. But for an informal letter, how is it going? I was thinking about you the other day. I saw the Sylvester Stallone movie. Right? Then, as I always say, please feel free to ask all kinds of questions, whatever you have, related to the letter, related to the listening, related to reading, related to essays, and definitely speaking. But as I have taken some very important sessions of writing that will help you to score band 9, right? To all the plus learners who are present here, again I am telling you, do watch the sessions of 7th of January, 8th of January till 21st, 26th of January. I hope you all are doing that. Okay? And make sure if you revise the sessions, seriously, it will help you to get a high band. There is no second thought to it. Finally, at the end, as I always say, Unacademy is really a platform that has given you a chance to get trained by the India's best educators. So make sure you get the most out of this platform. All the best to all of you. Just remember one thing, that success follows if you do the right thing in the right way at the right time. Lastly, don't forget to use this code, because then only, right, you'll be a part of my learning team, you'll be a part of my live sessions, and you'll be my learner. So the code is Shruti Live. But again, all the plus learners know that it is only for the genuine, serious, and hardworking learners, right? So get set ready, get the band you need. Fine. So with this positive note, with this kind of hope and a positive attitude, positive feeling and optimistic approach towards life, let's end this session. We'll meet you tomorrow. I think tomorrow's session is at 10:30 p.m. Okay, all the best, class. Take care. Good night to all of you.